Yami Sukehiro, captain of the Black Bulls and user of dark magic, has been through a lot within the pages of Black Clover. From being stolen away from his homeland at just 13 to being one of the literal keys behind the Dark Triad's plans, the man has been through it all. But to him, all these were just opportunities to surpass his limits. And that is precisely what we are going to discuss here today. Yami and his limits. Just how powerful is the man dubbed the God of Destruction? And how exactly does he rank when compared to his allies, maybe even to the Wizard King? The life of Yami. To understand how strong Captain Yami truly is, we must first take a look back at his life, or at least what has been revealed to us thus far. Looking at what we know, it is not that extreme of a stretch to say that Yami's life could be a series all on its own. I mean, there is good reason why fans theorize that Yami himself could be an isekai character. After being swept away from his home country, the Land of the Sun, Sukehiro finds himself all alone and stranded in the Clover Kingdom. Despite originally dealing with issues due to the cultural differences the young boy was faced with, Yami was quick to adapt and fight his way to the top. Eventually, the young wizard received his own grimoire and joined the Magic Knights alongside William and Morgan, led by none other than the current Wizard King, Julius Novachrono. Many years later, Yami earns the right to become captain of his own Magic Knight squad, and well, the rest is history. Of course, as we know, Yami's story is still being revealed to us, and we are constantly learning new things about him. Case in point, the latest few chapters of Black Clover, where we get to meet the captain's childhood friend and younger sister. There is still so much to learn about his early life, which compared to his lifetime in the Clover Kingdom, has remained mysterious. We know he came to create his own magic squad after serving under Julius for years as a member of the Grey Deer Squad. Upon the sudden death of his friend and longtime ally Morgan Faust, the Land of the Sun native promised to create his own magic squad, the Black Bulls, one that he is certain he and his vice captain, not Faust, will be laughed at for. And of course, laughed at they were. After creating the Black Bulls, successfully putting together a bunch of misfit wizards and witches, Yami's goal of having a magical squad was complete. Even if the squad held no respect, seeing as how the group was always in last place and in the negatives with stars. Their squad consisted of an outsider, a bunch of misfits, and those deemed to be failures. With the creation of the Black Bulls, essentially a family, the Yami we know and love today was born. But still, it does make us wonder, what was his life like in the Land of the Sun? Was he the same roughneck he is today, or did he have a completely different lifestyle? Clearly Ryudo and the man's own sister Ichika have some of the juicy details we have been looking for. And boy oh boy, I cannot wait to hear them in what is currently the final arc of the Black Clover story. We will finally be able to understand the puzzle that is Captain Yami. Yami's magic. With that out of the way, let's get into one of the main things that makes someone powerful within the Clover Kingdom, their magic. And with Yami being one of the most powerful captains around, you already know his magic is quite the treat to witness. As most of us know, Yami uses dark magic, something that has so far been unique to him alone. Dark magic essentially allows its user to generate and manipulate darkness at will, and it doesn't even require a grimoire. However, to use specific spells and bring out the magic and user's full potential, the user would need to possess a grimoire. Although not as important to the plot anymore, Yami's dark magic used to be key in many earlier arcs within the series. Seeing as how this magic type is the polar opposite to the leader of the Midnight Sun and head of the Elf Invasion Patri and his light magic, you can already see the importance. Funnily enough, this contrast between them has actually helped Yami further his own magic. He actually discovered how to increase the speed of his own slow and time-consuming dark magic to keep up with Patri's insanely fast light magic. And after the whole elf invasion, Yami once again found himself at the center of it all when the Dark Triad came looking for him and William to use as keys to open the underworld. Since, as they reveal, the power of the underworld is said to dwell in dark magic. Due to its connection to the underworld, this magic is actually part of the arcane stage, making it effective against devils. So we've gotten into what dark magic is, but now let's get into how exactly Captain Yami uses it. As we mentioned, on its own, this magic is particularly slow. So to cover for this, Yami uses reinforcement magic and channels his magic through a weapon, mainly his katana. With dark magic flowing through his sword, he can essentially use slashes and strikes that are powered by his dark magic, similarly to how Asta uses anti-magic fuel swords to launch his attacks. But before we go any further, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload, and smash that like button for some Plumber today. When it comes to taking down opponents, Yami has a number of offensive techniques at his disposal. One such attack is Dark Cloaked Avidaya Slash, a long-range spell that can send out aerial slashes of dark magic, extending his katana's reach, send out thrusts of dark waves, and even cut through dimensions. Yes, you heard that right, cut through dimensions. Using one of his advanced techniques, Dark Cloak Dimensional Slash, Yami is able to slice through spatial magic, space, and even mana itself. Although we usually see Yami on the offensive end, he does have a few powerful and interesting defensive techniques available to him within his grimoire. One such technique is Black Hole, which does just about what it is named after. That is, it creates a black hole. The technique is used to absorb and draw in all spells within its short 5-meter radius. In certain instances, Black Hole can even paralyze the mage who releases the spell. Black Cocoon is another simple yet effective protective technique in the wizard's repertoire. The spell itself can create a spear-like shell around the user that defends them from powerful beams or attacks. We have also seen Yami use this technique as a means of transportation while carrying around Julius's supposed corpse. The last of Yami's notable solo techniques is his Mana Zone spell, Black Moon. Similar to his defensive spell Black Hole, this technique also creates a black hole, but directly above the user. Instead of swallowing up any and all spells, this version of the spell is able to discriminate between spells which will be absorbed and which will pass through. This essentially makes it the ultimate defense to cover him and his allies while they launch spells of their own. Unlike the original Black Hole spell, Black Moon has a much greater range and can actually hold multiple allies within its safe, almost bubble-like area. And hey, some of you may have noticed how we said the last of Yami's individual techniques when referring to Black Moon. And that is because Captain Yami has 2 Union Magic based attacks with his reliable Vice Captain Noct. The first of these being Kid's Playground. But before we get into that, we should briefly explain what Union Magic is, as it would be understandable for many fans to confuse it with Asta's Devil Union form. I know we have a couple of times, but the best way to think of Union Magic is to think of it as a combination. In this case, 2 magic types are combining to create a powerful attack, and a pretty awesome looking one here. Kid's Playground starts off with Yami launching Black Moon, while Noct uses the Shadowy Cat to expand his own magic and cause several buildings and designs to rise out of the darkness. With this combination, both mages are now completely free to leap into any of these shadow-created surfaces and spring out of any other, catching their opponent off guard. If Noct is united with his devil, Gimodello, he can also create copies of both himself and Yami to distract the opponent. And with that, this technique is one of my personal favorites. If only it was used on someone other than Lucifero, who could easily walk off the attack. The same can be said for the duo's other Union-based attack, Doppelganger. Sadly, we were unable to see this attack completed due to Lucifero putting a stop to it, injuring both Yami and Noct. And so hopefully one day we will be able to see the combined might of Yami and Noct again as they launch a fully realized version of this attack. Power comparisons. With all that said about Yami's magic and more, leaves us with one major question. Where does that rank Yami? Without a doubt, the captain is one of the strongest within the world of Black Clover, but just how powerful is he? And that is the question we are looking to answer here. To try and figure out how powerful Captain Yami truly is, we've got to compare him to some other big shots within the series world, namely the other captains. It's clear that Yami is among the more powerful of the captains, and due to his being in charge of the Black Bulls, he is also the one we know the most about. With that said, I believe we can automatically strike out the captain of the Purple Orca, Kaiser Grandvorka, simply because we do not know enough about him. Replacing the previous Captain Gouldre after he was revealed to be selling the Clover Kingdom out for a few quick bucks, we simply haven't heard or seen enough of this guy to even attempt to rank him. Similarly to Kaiser, real Captain Lee Akodir is another candidate that can immediately be taken out of the running due to his young age. Although powerful, Yami has nearly 10 years of experience and training over the Painting Magic Wizard. The next person we can remove would be Captain the Coral Peacock, Dorothy Unsworth. Although a very powerful and deserving captain, unfortunately for her, Yami is just a bad matchup in terms of magic. You see, Dorothy utilizes dream magic, a type of magic that allows the user to manifest and manipulate a world of dreams. For Yami, however, this type of magic doesn't pose too much of a threat to him, as he can simply escape by creating an exit with Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. With the more obvious choices out of the way, this leaves 5 captains: Jack, Charlotte, Nozel, Fugelion, Mereoleona, and William. Now, I know I just said 6 names, but seeing as how Fugelion and Mereoleona are both the captains of the same squad and pretty evenly matched, we will count them as one entry. And now that we have removed some of the obvious choices, we can really get into the rankings. Starting with the next 2 we believe Yami outranks, there is Jack the Ripper, Captain the Green Mantis, and Captain the Blue Rose, Charlotte Roselli. Although powerful, Jack simply doesn't have the variety and amount of mana that Yami brings to the table. Furthermore, Yami is said to have more magical power than nobles and is just under the royalty level. Although the two have had numerous fights and battles, whether that be physically or financially, we believe that overall, Yami is more powerful than his drinking buddy. As for Captain Charlotte, we have already seen the two go at each other twice now, although both times were against Charlotte's will. The first being on her cursed 18th birthday, when Yami slices through the cursed vines to basically yell at her for ruining his food. The second time was back when Yami fought the elf-possessed Charlotte, also known as Charla. Although the Land of the Sun native didn't necessarily come out victorious in these encounters, he did manage to overpower and outmaneuver her cold and prickly majesty. With these two out of the race as well, this leaves just William, the Vermilions, and Nozel, all of which we believe rank above Yami in power. As some may notice, the three wizards that rank above him all have one thing in common. That's right, all three come from or are royalty. The Vermilions and Nozel are actually members of the royal family, while William is the illegitimate son of a noble. This alone already puts them above Yami in terms of magical power due to the sheer amount of mana that comes from having any kind of royal blood. That, and also the fact that the three captains were offered the position of Wizard King, which is already more than enough to show the difference between Yami and them. Hell, he said it himself that royalty has more magical power than he does. This lands the captain of the Black Bulls right at the number 4 spot, nowhere near the level of, say, the Wizard King. That is, for now. What's next? Captain Yami has been through the ringer. He has been used to open the literal gates of hell, fought the most powerful of devils, and made it back to tell the tale. What could possibly be next for the captain of the Black Bulls? Currently in the manga, Yami is mourning the supposed death of Asta, while simultaneously preparing himself for the promised assault that is to come from Lucius. He has just found out that one of his closest allies was killed, and he was too late to do anything. The worst part is that the villain behind the whole thing inhabits the body of the only man he looks up to, Julius, the Wizard King. I'm sure this is all taking a heavy toll on the captain, but hopefully he can use all the emotions he is feeling to break through and surpass his limits in time for the big battle. As of chapter 338, we know that Nacht and the rest of the Black Bulls are off in search of Asta, refusing to believe he is truly dead. But interestingly enough, we don't see Yami, Noel, or Nero with them. Perhaps these three, having actually witnessed Asta's final moments and the enemy they are soon to face, have decided to put their time into vigorous training. Currently, we have no idea what Yami may unlock, or even what aspects of his magic he is training. But if we were to try and guess, I would say the captain is going to be working on his ki and ki control. Ki is all about reading emotions, body language, and more. This is why, now more than ever, while his emotions are all over the place, it is the perfect time to train on his control. It would make for the perfect reunion between Asta and Yami. Later on in the final arc, when the two finally see each other again, both will have trained up their usage of ki. There is also the fact that as of the previous arc's conclusion, at least according to Gray, that Yami's body is more so akin to that of a devil's than a human's. This alone stands to potentially provide Yami with a major boost to his capabilities across the board. Such a reality may essentially be like a perpetual devil union mode. As we know, devil hosts form contracts with fiends for the sake of tapping into their incredible power. Yami would have no need for such a thing as he himself is already in possession of said devilish power. And hey, this may also prove to be useful in dealing with the soul-altering abilities of Lucius. But that's just our theory. Let us know what you think the next steps are for Yami following the latest chapters of Black Clover. What do you think he will end up training the most? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.